Hey guys, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Came out May 5th, 2017. It is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, I believe. Something to that extent. Yes, 2 hours, 15 minutes long. That's what the screen just told me. James Gunn wrote and directed this film. Again, the gorgeous storyteller that he is. So it brings all of our Guardians back. We have Peter Quill, Star-Lord. We have Gamora. We have Drax the Destroyer, we have Rocket Raccoon, we have Groot, who's now Baby Groot, we have Yondu Udanta, the Ravager, we have Kraglin, we are introduced to Mantis, we are introduced to Ego, so we also have Sylvester Stallone as a Ravager as well. This movie opens up with our Guardians being hired by High Priestess Aisha of the Sovereign to guard their Quantex batteries from this interdimensional beast who wants to eat them, basically. And it is a hilarious opening of Groot dancing around as a little toddler that he is, about yay big, to one of Peter's mixes, his Awesomeness Mix Volume 2, because that was the gift his mom gave him, you know, before she died in Volume 1. It is just such an amazing opening. Then they are thanked by Princess Aisha and company. Rocket steal some batteries, so then an army of Sovereign, fleet of Sovereign, therefore follow them. They crash land on the planet after Ego helps get rid of the drones, if you will, the pilotless ships that the Sovereign are commanding. So then Ego and Mantis visit them on this planet. They also have Nebula in tow. So the Guardians being hired by the Sovereign was in order to get Nebula back, because Nebula wanted to steal the batteries, basically. So Nebula still is out to kill Gamora at every chance she gets. Ego, Mantis, Peter, Gamora, and Drax go off to Ego's home planet, Ego's planet, while Rocket, Groot, and Nebula are still on that planet fixing the ship. So they split. Ravagers are now hired by the Sovereign to get the batteries back, so they try to, you know, get the batteries by basically kidnapping Rocket and Groot, because Nebula does this little backhand kind of thing and winds up, you know, shooting Yondu's fin right off his head after there's a mutiny from Laserface. Kraglin doesn't mean to start a mutiny, etc. So that's happening on that planet. They go to the Ravager ship. Okay. On Ego's planet, it turns out that Ego is actually a planet. He is a celestial. He's also Peter's father. So it's the story of how he met his mother. Mantis is trying to get social because she's like a pet, basically. So she's interacting with Drax. Nebula takes a ship from the Ravager ship to find Gamora to try to kill her yet again. So the sisters have a battle. The sisters have a sister moment. Nebula saying, you know, Thanos tore out my eye from my skull and my brain from my head and, you know, ripped my arm off because you always had to best me. And she's like, I only wanted a sister. And then they have a heartfelt moment. And it's very emotional. You have this heartfelt moment of these two sisters who were raised in war, basically, that, you know, all they needed was each other and they didn't really realize it. So then Mantis is trying to tell Drax that Ego has other plans for Peter, that he's killed all of his other children before, that Yondu was actually hired to bring Peter to Ego for another experiment to see if Peter can hold the light of the planet, so that way his spreading from planet to planet would commence, kind of a thing, his purpose, if you will. Yondu refused to deliver Peter after he found out what Ego was doing to all the kids that Yondu would give to him. So Gamora and Peter have moments, Drax and Mantis have moments, Peter and Ego have moments. And then eventually it's revealed that Ego put the tumor in Peter's mom's head, so that way he never had to go back to Earth again, or else he himself would die, because he can't stay away from the planet for too long. Peter goes apeshit crazy, starts destroying him, realizes that what's been happening, you know, Gamora, Mantis, everyone's now sharing the truth, and Nebula's involved too. So everyone is there. Everyone is there except for Rocket and Groot, who are still with Yondu on the ship as the mutiny's going on. So the goal now is to destroy the planet, destroy Ego's planet. So while the mutiny's happening, Groot gets Yondu's awesome red fin original prototype Finn, heavily based off the comics. Because technically, Yondu is actually the only original Guardian of the Galaxy in the books, but in the movie it's a little different. So then he's welcomed into the Guardians once he and Rocket and Groot and Kraglin basically blow up 3/4 of the Ravager ship, take away the top chunk, go to the Ego planet, help Peter and company, help the Guardians destroy Ego. Aisha and company are back to get the batteries back, but Rocket sets up a bomb that he gives to Groot to put in Ego's core, so that way that will explode and then the planet will disintegrate and Ego will be no more. Okay, it happens, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in between. So Peter is fighting Ego, the things happen, more ships explode. There's a moment where Peter and Yondu are descending down onto like one of the main core caverns of the inside, and Peter just looks up at him and he laughs and he's like, "Hi, you look like Mary Poppins," and he's like, "Is he cool?" And then Peter's like, "Yes, he's very cool." And then Yondu's like, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." And what's hysterical is that was a complete improvisation between those two actors while filming, and they kept it. James kept it. So thank you, James Gunn, for keeping that hysterical. Also hilarious, shout out to James for putting their father as the old weird man in one of the scenes. And he's credited as old weird man. It says James Gunn Sr. Hysterical. So at the very, very end, as the planet's exploding because the bomb went off, everybody has faced Ego, and Mantis tried to put him asleep, and things happen. So everyone's going back up to the ship that Kraglin's now waiting on. Groot is with Rocket, but Rocket gives Yondu a spacesuit, and a rocket pack, basically. But he only has one of each. So that meant someone's going to have to die. So Yondu said, let me do this. Let me do this, you know. I've been a terrible person, you know, let me do this. So they say their farewells after they realize they have so much in common. Yondu saves Peter. Yondu has the rocket pack, so he brings Peter up as the planet's exploding, and then he slaps him in the chest with the spacesuit, and then Peter realizes that Yondu just sacrificed himself, and Yondu's saying, "He might have been your father, boy, but he was never your daddy." And it's a hysterical and emotional moment. And then when Yondu is dying in space with Peter and he taps him on the face, and then Peter is just sobbing hysterically, screaming, "No, no," he's crying. This is the only Marvel film that I actually cry while watching, because it is such an emotional scene that just kills you, because you just laugh and laugh at these characters' dynamics, and seeing the flashbacks of Yondu raising Peter as his son, and you feel it, and you literally watch a son watching his father die after doing the ultimate sacrifice, watching his daddy die after giving the ultimate sacrifice, his life so his son can live. And it just kills you, absolutely kills you. What would you do for love? Kills you, kills me. Cry every single time I watch this film. I literally curl up in a blanket, and this blanket right here, this fluffy blanket, tears all over this blanket. And I'm proud to admit it. So thank you, James, for making me cry numerous times as I watch this film. This film is awesome. So then Yondu has a proper Ravager funeral. All the Ravager ships come back after they said that they would never talk to him again because he would trade children to Ego. But after Rocket explained to all the Ravagers, Sylvester Stallone is a Ravager in this film as well, they decided to give him a proper Ravager funeral with the flames and the fireworks, the whole bang. So it's a beautifully powering, emotional scene. I get chills every time the camera does that pan around the Guardians when the caverns are exploding. It's gorgeously crafted. It's a gorgeously crafted film. 1 and 2. Volume 1, Volume 2. Volume 3 when it's made years from now. There was a little hiccup in the production, but we'll talk about that at a later date. Beautiful. So for the Guardians to be at the end of Thor Ragnarok, for the Guardians to be in Infinity War and then Endgame, super important because they are a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are a part of the Avengers team, in hindsight. That they all come together. All of the characters come together for the same goal, to defeat Thanos. So everyone's earthbound reasons plus all the spacebound reasons, as Guardian, 9 realmed, Guardians, everyone has reasons of why they want Thanos dead. And Nebula, that's all Nebula's goal, is to kill Thanos. So we leave off with her looking for Thanos. We leave off with the Guardians having the funeral. But then the post-credit scenes have Ayesha revealing Adam's eventual birth and character of the Sovereign. Probably a good focal point for Volume 3. We also do a little flash forward of Teenage Groot. Hysterical. Adolescent Groot, Teenage Groot, as we all reference him. Being sarcastic, I am Groot. And then Peter going, I am not annoying. Man, now I know how Yondu felt when he raised me. Hysterical. Playing a little video game. And then Teenage Groot is obviously a big point of Thor Ragnarok. At the very, very end, post-credit-wise. Which we shall talk about, obviously. Avengers Infinity War, and then inevitable Endgame. So, yeah. What do you guys think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Do you love it as much as I do? Do you get as emotional as I do? I'm sure people do, because James is a perfect storyteller, and this film is just, it just blows me out of the water every time I watch it. Every time I talk about it. It's just fantastic. On to the next Marvel film. Mucho mahalo, guys.